So another stove video. I thought I'd kind of just really discuss how we came to pick this model, how we saved quite a bit of money by sourcing the equipment and things ourselves, and then how we got it all fitted and signed off. So it's a real minefield out there. There are just hundreds of models of stoves out there, and if you're watching this, then you've probably been onto the websites and looked for reviews and seen what's available. But it's really quite hard to choose what you want. So we went to a few different shops at first, and it's great to see them all out, you know, on display, so you can see the build quality. But quite often they're not all lit, and you're really just going off the shop owner's point of view. You're not getting a really big picture of how they perform. So first of all, you want to decide on the output, and that'll be based on the size of your room. It's quite a big room, this, an old house, and it also has bifold doors through to another room. So we had this sized, and we needed around 6 to 7 kilowatts. This one is up to 8, which is fine, because with those doors it means that we've got the flexibility to run it as hot as we need. You also got the option to have a boiler fitted on the back of a wood burner, which can supply radiators or to a thermal store. So that's something else to bear in mind. Some models will allow that, some won't, and you need extra space in the back of your fireplace to allow for that as well. So you want to make sure that from the outset you know if you need a boiler type stove or whether you want a direct air feed from the back. The main sources of stoves, there's a few UK makes, and there's quite a lot of the Scandinavian makes as well. And then at the bottom of the scale you've got a lot of the Chinese imports and the cheaper stoves, which from all the reviews we've read, they're just not efficient, and unless you're on a really tiny budget, then I would suggest staying clear of those. Then the next thing we found helpful was to narrow it down again to what features you want. We wanted a single door. That ruled out, you know, a third of the stoves, because some of them have the 2 doors. We didn't want anything too contemporary, so we didn't want anything cylindrical or with kind of 2 sharp lines really. So again, that narrowed it down a little bit. We wanted a large viewing window, so that helped again. And that kind of brought us down to maybe half a dozen stoves of the ones on display in these couple of shops. We were quite attracted to the Morso stoves. They kind of fitted the bill for us, and it really came down in the end to this Clearview stove and the Morso. So when it boiled down to it, it was all down to reviews from other owners and the availability of kind of parts and things like that. So that's how we ended up with this Clearview Vision. Now the next thing to do was to get prices on installation, and we managed to find this stove as an ex-demo model, so that immediately saved us about £500 off the marked price. So that was probably about a third off, or maybe a quarter off the retail price. And you've got to find someone to fit it, and you can fit it yourself and get it signed off by building regulations. So that was one option for us. But when I priced it up, by the time you paid building regs to come out and you spent a day or probably 2 on it yourself and worried about ladders and things like that, it kind of made sense to find someone locally. When we went to the shops, we found that most of the shops were wanting a lot of money to come and fit the stove, anywhere between £1,000 to £1,500. That was including the flue. We needed about 9 meters of flue here. However, it was still you know, a lot of money and more than the stove itself. So what we decided to do, which saved us a substantial amount of money, was to go out, buy the flue and buy all the kit needed to fit the stove. That way all we were paying the fitter was a labour only price, and it worked out to be the most efficient way of doing it as far as speed and also money. So we managed to find out everything we needed from various websites and also by speaking to the fitter. We needed a 6-inch flue, and we also went for the higher grade steel, the 904, which from one of the stove shops was £70 or £80 or more for a metre, whereas going direct online we paid about £32 I think it was a metre. So the whole kit, everything including the flue, the cowl on the top and everything, came to £350. And then we had a few more local fitters which we had found through the HETAS, the register on the website, which gives you a list of all the certified installers in your area, which was really helpful. And we basically contacted the closest 2 or 3 of those. We paid £400 for someone to come, or 2 guys to come, fit everything and obviously the access and things like that to the roof. So all in all, that came to £750 versus the 1500, kind of 1400, 1500 quotes we'd had elsewhere. So it saved a lot, and it was probably, you know, about half the price of going direct to a shop. So the actual builder's opening here we had already. We did all the preparation, we did all the rendering, the painting, laid the hearth. So we did that sort of side of things a few months ago. So that register plate is a steel plate which is cut to size of the opening, and then it's screwed up into some steel angle on the walls. Then you've got this stovepipe in the middle. So that's 6 inches coming out of the stove, and it stays 6 inches all the way up as flexi. So it goes up maybe, I don't know, half a metre or less behind here. And then there's an adapter which turns it into the flexi, which is the 904 steel flexi flue that I've mentioned. That goes right to the top, and then you've got your cowl on the top there. And then when you come down here, it's sealed with the fire cement into the stove. And with this stove we had the direct air kit, which meant that the air going into the stove comes through another small pipe at the back of the stove from outside, which meant we didn't have to have a vent elsewhere in the room, and we weren't pulling in cold air through the lounge. That's one way of approaching getting a stove installed in your house. From start to finish, we bought the stove on the Saturday. We had quotes come in over the week, and then we had it fitted on the following Monday. So it was 14-15 days from start to finish, and I think that was probably a lot faster than if we'd gone to a shop and got the full package from a shop. They kind of stick you to the bottom of the list, and takes a bit longer. So by splitting it up and getting everything yourself, it sped up the process as well. And if you've got a dog or a cat, you need to be ready to share the fire, because it didn't take long for Charlie here to make himself at home on the rug in front. Hey, it's not all for you, dog. Finally, I'd just like to give a couple of plugs for no reason other than we found them to be very helpful suppliers. We had all of the kit and the flue came from a company called fluesupplies.com or .co.uk. They had an offer on at the time where you bought your flue and nearly everything else was thrown in as a package, apart from the register plate, I think. So we got the cowl, fire cement, fitting, the plate, all that sort of stuff was free. So that came in, as I said, to about £350 for everything. Also our fitter, who is Jason Brown in this area of Somerset, kind of Bath and Bristol, so a bit of a plug to him. And if you're looking for someone to either do gas boiler installations or wood burner installations, get in touch with me and I'll send you his contact details. But for now, thanks for watching, and I hope that helps. And remember, if you can, do it yourself, or find someone locally who's registered to give you a hand doing it. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.